Sifu Raphael is the founder and host of Coaching Call, Heroes Rising, The Seer Show, and New Tip Daily. He works with individuals, groups, and businesses and helps them find clarity, purpose, and understanding of who they really are in business and personal life. Sifu Raphael has used his skills to develop a variety of multifaceted businesses in the martial arts and fitness industries. He owns and operates a 10,000 square foot martial arts and fitness facility in New York. Jose Escobar is an award-winning, nationally recognized personal development speaker, published author, and sales professional. He leads compelling, high-level communities consisting of entrepreneurs and advanced leaders through his two business models, the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf and the Connected Leaders Academy. He is also the co-host of Heroes Rising.
Jose, happy Friday, my friend. How are you today?
I am fantastic. I just got back in from Mexico, as many of you know on social media, and I probably have a permanent glasses tan going on right now. But besides that, I'm winning. How about you?
Oh my God, exceptional and getting better every day. I did catch a little sun. For some reason it came more on my nose, and it's the gift that I've been giving, a big nose. So, and this way people can really look at my eyes than because it's near. So that's
I'd rather have the big nose than the big head because a lot of hats don't fit me.
I hear you. So today is an exceptional day because we have two amazing guests. Why don't we go ahead and bring them on? We have Dr. Nicholas Nolen and we have Manuj Aggarwal. Right? Did I say that right?
Yeah, you got almost right.
Almost. I like almost.
Yeah.
Great. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with us today. I know we're going to have an exceptional show. Just say hi to everybody, please. And then we'll get started.
Up there.
Excited
to hear.
We're very excited you gentlemen are here. We are definitely going to talk about the brain and the primitive reflexes that we can think about, but also the fusion of AI and human psychology. I want to introduce you guys to my good friend Manuj. We've had so many different conversations. It's just every time I get to talk to this man, I learn something for sure. So Manuj Aggarwal is a thought leader in AI. I said AI. That's you guys, everybody. It's AI is everywhere. And so many startups who have impacted over 10 million lives and generated over, listen to this, 500 million in value. With experience in working with clients like Microsoft, IBM, he's spoken at the UN alongside the Secretary General and Nobel Peace Prize winner, and his work has been mentioned by President Obama and Bill Gates. When you got those guys talking about, man, that's pretty cool. With 4 patents in AI, he's the perfect person to learn from about how AI can benefit all of us. So, my friend Manuj, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Well, that was a long intro. But yeah, it has been an interesting journey. AI is everywhere, but a lot of people don't realize, AI has been around for decades. So it's good that a lot of people are now talking about it, and even better that they can benefit from it in their life, in their business. So exciting time for sure.
Excellent. So I know that I was talking to Dr. Nicholas earlier about how AI is impacting medicine, both in the Eastern world and the Western world. Would you mind talking about that? And then also, we do want to talk about human psychology and how AI is playing a game in that as well.
Yes, absolutely. I see healthcare is one of the areas that will be disrupted the most with AI. It has already been disrupted, like, 3 three of the four patents I have, they are related to healthcare and AI technologies that we built. The thing is that we know a lot about human body today, but whatever we know is minuscule compared to the reality and the complexity of how our body works. So what happens is, with the limited knowledge that we have, humans tend to generalize things. Just like a shoe size, if you want to buy shoes, you can get them in like 10 sizes, even though individual sizes of our feet are, they are variable, they are infinite sizes, right? Same thing with healthcare, where we come up with diagnosis, we come up with drugs, we come up with medicines, which apply in most cases to most human beings, meaning it will cure the disease 90%, 95% of the cases, but in 5% of the cases, you'll experience some side effects, in some cases, extreme side effects, right? The reason is because human mind cannot really um, comprehend the person, each person's individual situation, individual, down to the gene level, down to their DNA level, right? So with AI, all of these things will be possible, meaning we will be able to create a custom medicine for a specific patient based on their genes, based on their DNA, based on their family history and whatnot. Moreover, even when we talk about, we were talking about human psychology and emotions, even the best doctors in the world, people who are really at the top of their game, they are also humans, right? So if I visit a world class doctor on a day when he or she has had terrible fight with their spouse in the morning, no matter how objective they are, that actually affects their mental state, right? So a lot of these things, and I'm not just saying this happens in the medical field, it happens everywhere. So a lot of these situations will be helped by AI, because now we can get a second opinion, or a more detailed opinion from AI, which has much more vast body of knowledge at its disposal. And it it never gets emotional, it never gets affected by what is happening day to day. It's always an objective opinion. So those are some of the things that I'm seeing already happening right now, but they will uh, continue to develop and continue to disrupt healthcare in that way.
Mm, very interesting. Dr. Nicholas, do you have any questions for my good friend Manuj?
Yeah, I think the first thing I guess I'd like to ask is, so some of the patents that you've come up with in healthcare, I was just wondering what they were regarding, like just to get a better picture of what we're looking at.
Yeah, so in those cases, we used AI, computer vision. Computer vision is a field of AI and 3D printing to help people with the joint pains. So what happens is, a lot of people, when they have to stand on their feet for their jobs, like doctors and nurses, coffee baristas, many other people, sometimes they experience joint pains because of the way their feet are constructed, the underside of their feet. So some people have high arches, some people have flat feet, and because it is their anatomy, surgery or medicine doesn't help in this case. So what we did was, we created some complex algorithms which could take photos of your feet from your mobile phone and create a 3D model of your feet within 2 millimeters of accuracy. And that 3D model then gets fed into a 3D printer, which prints out a custom orthotic device that is custom fitted to your foot contours and shoe size and whatnot. And you can put that device into your shoe, and it provides support and pressure at the right pressure points, and helps with joint pains.
Wow, really
Okay,
cool.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, no, I completely agree with what you're saying. The whole idea that, and this is especially within like an allopathic medical model, where we're all sort of trained, or in that model, everyone is trained to go into different specialties. You go into gastroenterology or you go into internal medicine, and you get very, very specific and granular with one system of the body. And it's not really a functional approach. It takes a whole lot of work outside of what you even spend your time studying to understand how all these systems of the body work together in a way that would be very, very, very simple for an artificially intelligent system to be able to do. In fact, that's sort of like what I do right now in my wheelhouse, is like a humanized version of trying to look at everything extremely functionally. And so we're able to produce a lot of results that way that fly under the radar, in the traditional system. But it can only be infinitely more efficient as long as the right input gets put in for the AI to be able to utilize, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so yeah, I think.
Let me ask you, Manuj, how close is it for us normal people to be able to have those insoles for our shoes? Like if I go to a sneaker store, will they be able to eventually have it cost
Yes.
effective so they can have it there soon?
Yes.
Because
You can
that to
order
me,
it online today.
really.
Yeah. You I mean, it and cost of it was like $100 or so. So not too expensive. And yeah, I mean, all these technologies, and I'm talking, this was like 5-6 years ago, and now we are like exponentially further ahead now. And to speak to Nick's point, not only the bodily systems are complex, and we work in silos in those systems. But I've been talking to some neurosurgeons. I've been talking to some other healthcare professionals. I've been talking to some people who are experts in Chinese traditional medicine. So the interesting thing is, like, even these sort of paradigms of healing humans, like traditional Chinese medicine has centuries of knowledge about human body, right? The acupuncture practices and all of that. Imagine now you have such a holistic sort of a medicine facilitating AI that can pull from Chinese traditional medicine, Ayurveda, allopathic, South American medicine, and then really holistically heal people in a way that doesn't really depend upon one way of doing things, right?
Yeah, it's entirely what I think everything should be moving towards anyway, regardless if we had AI or not. And I think politically or for whatever reason, we don't pull from a lot of those things in the allopathic model. I do electroacupuncture like all the time with people. I pull, like, I use, like, I reference the doshas a lot from Ayurveda whenever I'm doing like diagnostics on people. So I think that it all works together in a very efficient way. And I've always thought to myself, what is the best way to use everything together? And it's always been trial and error. But if you have AI or some kind of system that's able to figure out how to sort of stratify those things in order of operations and how it would be most efficient, I think that would be extremely useful. Some of the stuff, though, like in South America, I'm not sure how much record there is of that stuff for it to pull from to be able to utilize. There's got to be some stuff like online, I guess, that it could pull from and utilize.
The way AI works is, if there is a written record, it can learn from it. So it's all about providing that information in any format, whether that's written, oral, or whatever. So I'm sure. See, as humans, we pass on our knowledge to the next generation somehow, whether it's telling stories, whether it's written format, whatever that is. So as long as we are able to capture that information and just consider it, we are passing on our knowledge, obviously, to the next generation of humans, but also next generation of AI. That gets that gets the wheel moving. But regardless, there is centuries of text available. Just if we talk about Chinese traditional medicine and Ayurveda, there's like unlimited amount of information available in these two disciplines, which have been around for multiple centuries, right?
Question, Manuj. Quick question regarding this topic. This topic to me, what you guys are saying, Dr. Nick and Manuj, back and forth, it sounds to me like you're talking about a car engine. Like I have no idea, but it sounds very high level, and I love it. I love what I'm listening to. My cousin married a doctor, Dr. Irene, who her brother, his name is Dr. Emmanuel Fambu. He wrote this book. This is him on the back of this book here, from Cameroon. And he wrote this book. He travels the world with princes of Dubai and presidents and all kinds of people on their private jets and stuff. And they talk about healthcare. So this book he wrote, The Future of Healthcare, Humans and Machines Partnering for Better Outcomes. So it has his family there and then a robot right there. So, but this was written in 2017. So I'm curious, how are we in terms of the future of healthcare with AI? Is that already here? And the second part is, how available is this technology for the everyday person, or is it just for the wealthy right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, see, the technologies are already there. Robotics are doing surgeries today. You can things which used to take, kidney stone removal. These days, you can just just send a tiny tube into your body and then get rid of it, right? Like all these things have happened in the past few years. If you have heard of CRISPR, that's gene therapy, like you can literally edit your genes just like you're editing Word document, right? So all of these things are available today. And what has happened with ChatGPT and the recent advancements in AI, so the previous examples that I gave you, those were specific, very in-depth technologies for a specific purpose. But when we talk about ChatGPT, that's the next generation of AI, where now human knowledge is available to us. Like the entirety of human text that has been written since the beginning of time is available to us in a way that it understands exactly what we are talking about. It understands the context. So if we actually go to ChatGPT today and we say, hey, I'm experiencing some symptoms, tummy ache or something like that, tell me what does Ayurveda will suggest, tell me what the Chinese medicine will suggest. Today we will get a very good response. So that's where we are at today, right? So all of these things that you're talking about, they're already here. And what will continue to happen, it will continue to get better, continue to be more personalized. In many ways, I think our world has been, particularly in healthcare, we have been focusing more on cure rather than preventive measures. So that's another factor, that will start to become more prevalent. I mean, I can go on and on what the possibilities are, but these things are available, and to your point, they are affordable and available to regular folks.
Yeah, to that point, actually, a colleague of mine actually, he created a term back in 2012, 2013 called systemic neural adaptation, and then created a company called SNA for systemic neural adaptation called SNA Biotech. And he created a software platform called NeuroSage. And it's available right now. It just actually released its cloud-based version. I think they did their initial soft release in Dubai. And so what it is right now is it's a video game based and a video based thing, where you have headphones and you look through certain colored glasses and you play games that are targeted to make specific eye movement patterns that will affect one part of the brain versus another. But on the back end of this company that they haven't actually implemented yet, that they've created all the technology for like 8 years ago, is this entire like tower system that'll read, constantly be looking at pupil diameter and perspiration, heart rate variability, and it will change aspects of the digital landscape in the game based off of your biometrics.
Wow.
And so that's he's real excited about releasing the cloud-based version. I actually use that software in practice.
Gentlemen, I got to tell you, my great-grandfather lived to be 113, and I've always said I want to live longer than him, minimum 125. Now you're both telling me I'm going to live way longer than that. So thank you for that. What I like to do right
Yeah,
now.
to your point, longevity is
Mhm.
actually a very, very exciting field right now. And I believe many of us will actually be able to live up to 150.
Here we go.
What?
Here we go.
Let's
Let's do
go.
it.
Okay.
Let's do it. Well, guys, I want to talk to you about my co-host for a minute, and I want to introduce you to Jose Escobar. If you don't know who this man is, it's well worth your while to find out who he is. He is an award-winning, nationally recognized personal development speaker. I don't know how many times. I think it's like 500 times published author, has over 25 years of sales professional, as he is a husband and a father of 5 children. And he just came from Mexico. So him and his wife, yes, they have a happy marriage because they take time for one another, which is incredible. We need to do that. He leads compelling high level communities consisting of entrepreneurs and advanced leaders through 2 multi-6-figure business models, the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf and the Connected Leaders Academy, which I'm part of. I'm part of both. So thank you, Jose, for that. Jose is exceptional in his presentations where he has reached audiences collectively. I say 30, but it's probably going on 40 million now, and radiates throughout his dynamic coaching programs, inspiring his international 300 plus entrepreneurs and executive clientele to master their professional excellence. Before I bring Jose on, I just want to share this quick video. Take a look.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
What? Jose, you're refreshed. You got back from Mexico yesterday. You're here. We have Dr. Nicholas, who is in Panama City. Manuj, you're in Canada, right? I'm in New York, so we are definitely international. Jose, the floor is yours, my friend. I love every time you speak. And yes, I do take lots of notes as well.
Well, thank you, Sifu Raphael and Dr. Nick and Manuj. I'm excited to hear Dr. Nick. Manuj, that was phenomenal, and it's very insightful. The fact of the idea that I can live to 150 already kind of made my weekend. So, give me 120 and I'll be okay, but 150 would be awesome. So, with that being said, I would like to talk today about personal credibility being the foundation of all trust, right? So, and it's very different from what the other 2 topics we're having. And I'm not sure, Sifu Raphael, but I want to talk about developing that rapport, the trust with your audience that you're trying to have follow you so that eventually you can grow your business, right? So I'm catering my talk today more towards professionals. Good to see you, Danny Z. Good to see you in the house. So,
passion to expand so much.
It's right to meet yourself there. So, anyway, I want to cater towards the busy professionals and the entrepreneurs. My talk specifically today, and I have about 9 minutes into the importance of establishing your presence on social media effectively. So I remember like yesterday, I think about a year and a half or so before the last year and a half, where all of my kind of exponential growth happened in my business, I was always posting on social media, right? My wife was always, we would be doing something. We'd go to a brewery, we'd go to a church, we'd go to a family getaway. I would go on a business trip. Doesn't really matter what I would do. I would be posting on social media all the time. And my wife is like, do you really need to post all these things? And she was wondering, why are you posting all these things on social media? And I said, because I'm a strategist, right? This is business, and I don't use Facebook just to hang out and waste time. I think social media can be an effective tool. Yes, it's nice, and you can scroll and kind of see what people are up to, and that's cool if that's your bag, right? But I want an end result, right? Everything I do has an end result. Everything I do has an ROI in some capacity. Not all money. Sometimes it's an ROI on more time. Sometimes it's an ROI on a deeper relationship. Sometimes it's an ROI on whatever it is, but there's always going to be an end result. So be very intentional and purposeful about everything that you do. And only when you do that are you going to get the results that you're seeking, right? Because if you're just kind of going blindly or unintentionally, not really sure why you're posting or what the goal is, you're really not going to move the needle. And how many people out there want to move the needle professionally and in business? How about everyone, right? And if you're not, why are you in business, right? So let me tell you the 5 things that I post on social media on a consistent basis. These are the 5 things that you're going to see me post about all the time. Number 1, in no particular order, technically, faith. You're going to see me post about my faith. I'm very open with my faith, right? I'm a cradle Catholic. I grew up Catholic. I'm very involved in my church. And I don't really, care if somebody disagrees with me in terms of, my faith. This is my faith and this is where I'm at. And that's kind of what I do. And if it's for you, awesome. If it's not for you, then so be it. But I post about my faith. I post about my family. I'm very transparent. But Lori, good to see you. Lori, Emilio, Danny Z, good to see you guys. In terms of my family, right? I will post pictures with me and my kids somewhere. I'll post pictures with my wife. I just went to Mexico on a personal trip, a getaway. And if you noticed, if anybody's following my social media, you'll see I did day 1 post in Mexico. I did day 2 posts and day 3 and 4. And, with more intimate things with me and my wife on purpose, because people don't buy from the business. They buy from you as a person, right? They have to know, like, and trust you before they're going to ever open their pockets and say, hey, let me do business with you. So they need to connect with you. And only when they connect with you are they open to seeing whether you can add value to them on a more professional level. So that's been my secret sauce for the longest time. Let me clarify, it's not really a secret. I think it's common knowledge. I mean, if you go to the library, you go on YouTube, you're going to find exactly what I'm talking about. So the third thing is business. I always post about business. If I'm having certain levels of growth in my business, I'll post it. Who cares if you have haters, right? Guess what? Welcome to being a business owner. Welcome to being a high-level professional. You're going to have people that are going to gossip behind your back. You're going to have people that are going to put some, sarcastic comment on one of your posts. You're going to have people that are going to do all kinds of things to throw shade in your direction. You don't worry about those people. You just got to keep pressing forward and post the things that are going to connect with your audience. And I always say you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So the things that you're posting are going to connect with the people that you need to connect with. And that's very important to know. So I post about business all the time. My wins, my challenges as well. Don't forget the challenges. You got to post about your challenges too, because that makes you relatable. People can connect with you if they see that you've had challenges, if you're talking about the things you had to overcome. That matters too. And then, of course, I talk about personal and professional development. You'll see me posting pictures of the books that I'm reading all the time. I'll post books. I'll post quotes. I will post me at a speaking opportunity or me sitting in a chair as an attendee at an event, right? Whatever it is, I'm always posting personal and professional development as well. And lastly is health and wellness. Right? Everybody wants to be healthy. Everybody wants to learn new strategies and techniques on how to improve your health. When it comes to nutrition, when it comes to fitness, they want to see that you're trying to improve. And there are 10 life domains. They're all interconnected. So you got to make sure that you're making the effort to improve across the board. So I talk about faith. I talk about family. I talk about business, personal and professional development, and health and wellness. Those are the 5 themes that you're going to see on my social media. If anybody goes to Jose Escobar and you go through my page and you look on Facebook, that's where I live outside of my house. It's my second home. I'm very transparent and everything I do is there. Juanita Cap, good to see you. So Francine, good to see you as well. My goodness, Ivy Perez. So this is just really cool, right? So I do this all the time. And guess what? All I'm doing is I'm living life. I'm out of my way to do something for social media. I am doing what I do, and casually by default, I post about it. And I'm very transparent. The way you see me in my house is the way you'll see me at a business event, the way you'll see me at other places. I am the same person across the board. It's not about coming across a certain way. It's just presenting yourself openly. There's a difference. I don't use social media to present myself a certain way. No, I just post the things that I want my audience to connect with that I'm doing already based on who I am. So it's called transparency, right? That's really all it is I'm very transparent in terms of what I'm doing and what I'm looking to achieve. Warren Buffett has a great quote. He says, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. Amazing, right? So for me, I care about making sure that I'm building my reputation by being transparent on social media, by servicing my clients at the highest level, by getting testimonials left and right, by making sure I'm not creating enemies out there, right? You're going to have a hard time finding somebody out there right now actively that has something negative to say about me. You will just have a hard time finding that person. And if you do, it's from a place of like, they're a hater and they just don't like me for whatever reason, but there's no tangible, valid reason for that. I can assure you, right? Because I don't burn bridges. I create relationships. And it's about, Daniel Andrews says it best, right? Stop networking and start building relationships that matter. And that's what it's all about. I'm building relationships with people. I am giving people the opportunity to see who I am, what I do, full transparency. So remember, if you want to close a sale, think about this triangle. And I used to be a sales guy. Well, I'm still a sales guy. I've been in sales 26 years, something like that at this point. Sales is an area of mastery that I have. And one of my coaches many years ago when I was selling life insurance, did that for about 10 years. He said to me, Jose, there's a triangle, right? And there's 3 points. And in the middle, there's a sale. And the closed sale is the transaction. It's you getting the deal of whatever that might be, right? So at the top, you have the need, which is the prospect. The prospect is going to come with a need. I need this service or product because of whatever reason. The next corner at the bottom is the trust. And the trust is going to be that referral, that person who's referring that person to you, right? So that's the trust factor. You got to have somebody that's going to vouch for you, that's going to talk to that prospect and say, yeah, Jose's a great guy. Trust me. He's helped me tremendously. He's doing this. Exactly what Sifu Raphael said here, right? He's building the trust factor when he is introducing me. And then the third corner there is the expertise. And that's where I come in. So I'm the expert. I'm the one who can tell you why I have a product or service that can help you and bridge between the need and the solution, right? So in the middle, there is the sale. And that's what it comes down to. So it's need, trust, expertise. And guess what? The trust piece, the trust component can be removed, just like AI. It can be removed as from a person to your social media page based on how you manage it and how you use it. Because now that social media page that you're using, your personal page, is now becoming that, person that would have been there otherwise. And I'm going to close with this, and I'm going to introduce our next speaker. I have, in the last 15 months, built some tremendous success organically in business, right? I keep saying it, in 15 months, not years, 15 months, I went from no business to 2 businesses with 7 income streams and 7 figures. And guess what? The way I did it was what I'm just telling you right now. The organic strategy, building know, like, and trust on social media. My wife the whole time was like, why are you doing that again? Well, now I tell her that that's why. That's why I was doing it, because people I'm getting traction, and people are seeing what I'm about and who I am. And I proactively reach out, and guess what? I've developed the skill set of sales. So I say all that to say, if you want to take your professional business to your next level, or whatever career you're in, you want to take it to the next level, show up on social media 3 times a day, personal page, not business page. Make sure you're posting organic things that people care about. There's a painting, that's a noun, a painting hanging on a wall. And then there's a painting, the verb of you actually painting something. People want to see behind the scenes. They don't want to see the finished product. It's much more interesting to see the process, the journey, to be transparent. So you do that consistently, post things that people want to see, and be open about your personal life and professional life. And as you do that, you start to do it little by little, and it builds and builds and builds, and simultaneously build your sales skills. And then that triangle is just going to work magic. So that is all I have. And I'm going to introduce our next speaker and keep the ball rolling because I think I'm 2 minutes over. All right. So our next speaker today, I am excited to introduce this gentleman. He has already impressed me quite a bit. I was talking to him backstage before we got started here. Dr. Nicholas Nolen. And yes, he goes by Dr. Nick. I just asked that earlier. Practices chiropractic medicine and applied clinical neuroscience, and has studied and collaborated with the greatest minds in chiropractic applied kinesiologist.
Kinesiology.
I'm pretty sure I asked that. Kinesiology. There you go. Applied kinesiology, functional neurology, and functional medicine. He is a board-certified functional neurologist by the International Board of Functional Neurology, chiropractic neurologist via the American Chiropractic Neurology Board, and professional applied kinesiologist via the International Board of Applied Kinesiology. Dr. Nolen is currently an active member of the International Association of Functional Neurology and Rehab and the International College of Applied Kinesiology. He completed chiropractic school at Parker University, where he has also completed his master's degree in clinical neuroscience, graduating summa cum laude. He also holds a master's degree in human nutrition from Bridgeport University and additional certifications in strength and conditioning, sports nutrition, corrective exercise, and performance enhancement. And I can tell because just from the screen here, he looks like he has those 24-inch pythons like Schwarzenegger. So without further ado, Dr. Nick Nolen, the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, I thought this might be a little conversational, but we can just get into the actual topic that I was going to talk about initially, which is primitive reflexes and their retention beyond infancy, which is something that isn't talked about that often, and it's something that can impact health in a fairly big way. Primitive reflexes are the reflexes that you see in newborn infants. One of them that everybody's probably familiar with is the palmar grasp reflex, where you touch a baby's hand and it reflexively sort of grabs your finger or wherever you're touching them. There's a lot of these reflexes. One of them is the rooting and sucking reflex, which is actually what causes a baby to latch onto the nipple whenever they're feeding as a newborn and infant and while they're young. And these are all supposed to integrate fully by 12 months. The last one being a reflex called the Babinski reflex, which is where if you stroke up the side of a baby's foot, the big toe will actually go backwards instead of curling forwards. The natural reflexive response is for the toes to curl forward. And sort of in pediatrics, general pediatrics, this isn't really looked at beyond that point. They get checked all the time until the age at which they should be gone, and then they're not really ever looked at from that point on. There's a little bit of awareness now in certain areas of pediatrics where they're looking at a little bit more, but by and large, they're just sort of not really addressed after that. And these can lead to long-term neurological and really just systemic issues for people, because the brain actually begins developing in utero, and it develops from the bottom up. And then after a few years, after everything's sort of developed, you have top-down sort of control over everything. So the brainstem, the bottom of the brainstem is an area called the medulla, and that's where a lot of these primitive reflexes integrate. And so in early stages of development, if these reflexes don't fully integrate, then what happens is you have this interference pattern in terms of connectivity from the bottom of the brainstem that kind of migrates upward, and all of the systems that are built upon it don't really function properly, or they have the potential to not function properly. And so this can lead to anywhere from bowel and bladder issues to learning disabilities to vertiginous type symptoms, to where dizziness, balance, and coordination issues. They can lead to a lot of gastric upset, because what develops pretty close after the area of the brainstem where these primitive reflexes, most of them lie, is where the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system begin to develop. And if you have issues with your autonomic nervous system, which is this sympathetic parasympathetic aspect, it's your rest and digest and fight or flight aspect of your nervous system. Those are intimately tied to part of these primitive reflexes. One of them is the Moreau reflex, where if when a baby, you make a loud noise and they throw their arms back, that is a Moreau reflex, and that can be retained in people up into my age and later. And when that is retained, it usually can be retained with early childhood trauma, but when that is retained, it can lead to all kinds of autonomic issues or dysautonomia, where there's issues with being able to stay in a rest and digestive state, which is a state of healing, and you're constantly in this sort of moderate sympathetic state or this fight or flight state, and it really inhibits the body's ability to be able to heal and can lead to a lot of gastrointestinal issues that which once the gastrointestinal system gets disrupted to any degree, it can lead to a lot of other issues. You develop small intestinal bacterial overgrowth that can lead to all kinds of sequela neurologically. It can lead to people can have seizures. They can have all kinds of insomnia type symptoms. So there's really like no limit to what can progressively sort of sequence after having these reflexes not integrated for any given amount of time. And I like to talk about it because it's one thing that is actually fairly easy to check for, and it's pretty easy to integrate over time, especially if you have some kinds of therapies like what I use in practice. I do a lot of photobiomodulation or neurobiomodulation, which is light therapy. And you can use light and laser therapy to be able to integrate a lot of these reflexes very, very quickly. And the changes following that, or the remediation of a lot of these symptoms, is pretty profound, pretty immediately. And so that's sort of the outline of what primitive reflexes are and how they can impact the brain and the nervous system and all the other systems of the body. And I know I haven't really used my full time, but that's sort of what I wanted to cover. I wanted to leave it sort of open to if there were any questions about it or if anybody wanted to talk about anything.
You're muted, Sifu Raphael.
Oh, you're muted. Yeah.
Again? It's very interesting because I think all of our brains are just exploding right now with both you and Manuj. Going through all these different things. And the more you guys speak, the more I realize you guys both stole my topic. I'm just kidding. But super interesting when we think about the different reflexes that we continue to have as an adult. And sometimes, especially when you threw your arms up, you said that happens to a baby, but it also, I've seen it a lot in older people as well, as you mentioned, and that's really interesting. I didn't know that stemmed from then. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and the way you can determine if I guess it's not considered pathological in allopathic medicine, but you can definitely demonstrate a functional issue if you continue to repeat an acoustic stimulus and then the reflex gets progressively worse and it doesn't get better. So like a lot of people have the reflex to the point where you make a loud noise, they'll go like this. If you do it again, it gets worse. There's no sort of habituation to the stimulus. Mm-hmm. And that typically, in my experience, when I work with a lot of those patients, they have a whole lot of systemic dysautonomic type issues. They have constant tachycardia. They usually have physiological issues, like they aren't absorbing iron or a lot of vitamins and nutrients that they should be, because their neurology is pretty compromised from having those reflexes still there.
Mm. We have Juanita Cap. She's actually asking a really interesting question, and I'm going to rephrase it a tiny little bit, is, can you actually reset your nervous system? And how long is the process to do so?
So integration of aspects of the nervous system is very achievable. In terms of primitive reflexes, yes. As a matter of fact, I work with a lot of developmental delayed children, mm-hmm. and it's a pretty large portion of my practice. And many of them demonstrate all of these primitive reflexes that they can. And depending on the types of modalities that you use, like I mentioned, light and laser therapy and some other vibration therapy in a targeted way that'll impact one hemisphere of the brain versus the other. You can actually integrate these things potentially within the course of a week, but with home exercises, you can integrate them over time. It can be anywhere from 4 to 12 weeks usually for people, unless they're so compromised and they have, if they're adults with like severe disabilities, developmental delays or things like that, it's a little more difficult. It'll take longer. But yeah, I'll give you an example. My wife, when I first met her, showed a severe left hemispheric deficit. So she had a really strong right brain, and she had like 5 out of 8 of the primary primitive reflexes that we check for still intact and not integrated at all. And she had really bad issues. She had dyslexia growing up. She could barely read, and she had real bad anxiety issues. And the Moreau reflex, which I mentioned, was one of the ones that she had. She would cry if she heard a loud noise. It would freak her out so bad. And through integrating a lot of that, she has no more social anxiety. She has much better balance and coordination. She used to get motion sickness all the time, which was also related to that Moreau reflex being unintegrated. And so it's definitely possible. And it's something that we do all the time in practice with home care. I give people home care plans to deal with a lot of this stuff, especially if they're international patients and we do a virtual consult and they can't come in, or it's sort of potentially outside of the price range. We work on home care plans for people all the time to be able to reset their neurology in that aspect. And there's other aspects of your nervous system too. There are people that, are dysautonomic, but don't have primitive reflexes retained, where they have this imbalance between their sympathetic and their parasympathetic nervous system. And you really treat that with vagal nerve exercises. Your vagus nerve is sort of the primary mediator of the parasympathetic nervous system. It's the longest nerve in the body, and it runs all the way from your cranial nerves down to bowel and bladder. And so that's another way that we do it if that's sort of where they're having deficits. So it really sort of depends on, what aspect of the nervous system is sort of compromised or functionally inhibited for that individual patient. But just generally speaking, like what would be good for everybody to do is probably some form of vagal nerve exercise, like I was talking about, and then some form of brain balancing at the level of the hemispheres. That works really well for people. And one basic way to do that, if you don't know your hemispheric dominance, is just to actually grab your right earlobe with your left hand and your left earlobe with your right hand and do like 10 or 20 squats. That's one way to neurologically activate.
So, I work with a lot of autistic, both children and adults. And you were talking about some of those aspects, and a lot of them definitely show those reflexes and that they've carried them on. Is there any technology, even Manuj may be able to say, how we can help people who are in that category of autism?
Yeah, in my practice, I do typically week-long intensives with severely autistic patients. But in terms of technology, the things that you can do, typically, which the typical pattern for autism, when we run and do a neurological exam, we find a lot of deficits in correlation with the right hemisphere, and they have a very overdominant left hemisphere. So we do everything we can to activate specific networks in the right side of the brain while working on integrating these primitive reflexes. Because if we address things vertically, or we address them horizontally at the level of the hemispheres, but not from the bottom up, then none of this stuff that we do for the right hemisphere will hold if we don't start off by integrating those reflexes, because they're foundational. But so there's a sequence to it. But yeah, in terms of technology, that software I told you about, NeuroSage, one of the other aspects that is still not open to the public is they actually, my colleague, Dr. Kyle Daigle, he's in Lake Charles, Louisiana. They created a fiber optic suit that you could put patients in, and it would actually move them through the primitive reflexes exercises if they were not voluntarily able to do it for whatever reason. Sometimes what happens is people that are really elderly or they're neurodegenerative, they will have frontal release, is what it's called. Their frontal lobes will release inhibition over the brainstem, and then those reflexes will come back. And if they can't move around on their own, you could put them in this fiber optic suit, potentially. It's not commercially available right now. And then be able to utilize that to be able to create some of these changes.
Amazing stuff. Thank you. That's really, really incredible. And with technology and AI and everything that's happening. Wow, that was interesting. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Sure.
Yeah, that was fascinating Tough, absolutely, both of you. So we have our final person to introduce here, and I'm excited to do that. So let's keep the chains moving. If you are watching and you're here live, make sure you lean forward because we're not done. It's about to get even. We're going to continue the excitement. So our next speaker, Sifu Raphael, is the founder of Heroes Rising, the show that we're watching right now, which is and he also has 4 other unique shows that are done live as well. He's a fitness professional, solutions expert, executive coach, and head instructor at Max Martial Arts and Fitness in New York. And this is a massive facility, I believe 10,000 plus square feet. He has made a major dent in the martial arts industry, world renowned. Sifu Raphael's purpose is to unite like-minded individuals to create new possibilities and impact the world we live in. Sifu Raphael believes that we can all change the world. Most importantly, we need to start with ourselves, and then we can help others. I'm excited to be the co-host here with Sifu Raphael on this amazing show. So many heavy hitters have come through on this show. Obviously, from today, you can tell. And we're going to continue this. So thank you, Sifu Raphael. The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you, my friend. You know, I've been thinking about this, and you kind of touched upon it, both of you, Manuj and Dr. Nicholas. And it's been a thought in my mind a lot lately. And I really want to talk to you about a topic that everywhere I turn, it's hitting me. It's hitting me. And so I want to talk about it. And I call it lighting the way. So let me ask you, what does that mean to you when you hear someone saying that they're lighting the way? I know some people think, oh, they're going to hold the flashlight and light the way. Maybe you're in the dark or whatnot. But I would like to share my thoughts on this subject. To me, life is a journey. No matter who you are, we need to understand that we have only one life. That's right, one life to live. And now we know it can be longer. So thank you, AI, and thank you to amazing doctors like Dr. Nicholas who are making our lives better. So I thank you both. But we do live one life, and it is our life. Is it filled with ups and downs? I got to tell you, it should be. It is. And that's what really helps us when we have those. If we live on a straight line, it's boring, and life is that sometimes not even worth doing anything. So that's why people stay in bed or stay home. But we got to think about the triumphs and the tribulations that go along in this path. We often encounter darkness. Yes, we do. Both external and internal. The darkness can be daunting. It can be overwhelming, and it can make us question our purpose, our dreams, and even our own worth, which I've seen it firsthand. And I've helped so many people come to the other side to see the light. I'm sure most of us have encountered darkness at one point or another in our lives. Some call it depression, loneliness, worthlessness, or lack of real identity. There's so many people, when you ask them, what are you? What is your purpose? They have no idea. So, do you remember who lit the way for you? And if you feel that you're still in that place, then do me a favor and hang on, because there's so many people who are willing to help you along the way. I personally got to tell you, I was terrified of the dark. I'm talking about nighttime. I mean, when the lights had to be put on, I knew the darkness was upon us, and it was terrifying. Until one day, I should say one night, I summoned all the courage I can muster and went out. When I was in Colombia, I went to our rooftop patio. We had furniture. It was really cool during the day, but at night, I never knew what it was. And I just sat there on a couch, terrified, shaking. I don't even know how I got there because I was sitting on that couch with my eyes closed. I didn't know what horrors I was going to be experiencing or facing. The funny thing is, I really do not recall going up the stairs because I know when I started, my eyes were closed. So I must have known the area well because I didn't trip, I didn't fall. I actually found my way to the couch. So when I got there with my eyes closed and sat down, I mean, it was a long while. Afterwards, I opened my eyes because nothing had happened to me. Nothing. No creatures, no boogeyman, no nothing. But in those moments of darkness, I had the realization that I possessed an incredible power inside, the power to light the way, and I overcame my own darkness that day. That was a turning point in my life. I know you're wondering, how old was he? I was 6 years old when this happened. I was terrified of the darkness. No one told me to do this. I did it on my own because I knew I had to defeat that fear. I can still feel my emotions from that day today. I now realize that was my first step to lighting my own way. Let me ask you this. Were you ever afraid of the dark? Like I was. I mean, terrified. I got so many stories about the dark, how I used to cover my eyes to get places. It was ridiculous, but I overcame them. To me, lighting the way means to illuminate the world around us, around me, to radiate positivity, hope, and inspiration, not only to myself, but to others. It means becoming the beacon of light that guides others through their own struggles and challenges. This is why I do what I do. This is why I work with anyone who needs me. For me, it's always about giving. I need to give. That is what I found. I need to give. First and foremost, we must start by igniting our own light. When you are in the dark, it really seems impossible. It does. It seems impossible to get out of it. Here's my suggestion. We must dig deep within ourselves to find our passions, our dreams. Look, I'm sure it was not easy for Jose to leave a job that he had security, he had everything he could possibly have, and go on his own. In 15 months, he's created something out of nothing. And it was that can't stay there, can't stay in fear. You gotta dive in, you gotta find it. And sometimes you need to listen to people who've done it, who can help you. Jose's done it. Manuj, he's done it. Dr. Nicholas, he's done it. We need to follow our dreams and our purpose. We need to embrace the unique qualities that make us who we are. And we need to let them shine brightly. Do me a favor. Recognize that every one of us has a gift. Recognize that you, my friend, have a gift, a talent, or a passion that can make a difference in this world, in your world. We all live in our own little bubble of worlds, but we all live in this big world together. You have that light. So finding your light is not easy, but nothing worthy ever is it? It may be a spark at first. Do me a favor. Don't quit until the light shines on its own. Once we have identified our own light, we must nurture and fuel it. We need to surround ourselves with positive influences. Look at the gentleman on my platform today. inspirational. These are gentlemen that I love having a conversation with. Every time they speak, I listen intently. They are role models. So seek knowledge, for it is through learning and growth that we expand our own capabilities. We will use Chat GPT, we will use AI, we will use that, but you need to continue to grow. You are AI. And I know Manuj will tell you that as well. You have AI in you. It's what your brain is. It's in your DNA. So we also need to embrace failure as a stepping stone towards success. For it is in those moments of adversity that our light truly starts to burn even brighter. But lighting the way does not stop at our own individual journey. It should extend beyond us and into the lives of those around us. I personally believe that we, me and you, have a responsibility to uplift others, to lend a helping hand, and to share our light with those who are struggling in their own darkness. Your light can have an impact on the smallest act that you can do. Your kindness, like a smile or a compassionate word that can illuminate someone's path and give them the strength to carry on. Do you know that certain people have not committed suicide because of the words they heard? I had a friend of mine not commit suicide because their child walked into the room and said to them, "Mommy, I love you." Those words stopped her from taking 30 pills that would have definitely ended her life. So, by the way, a smile is free, words of compassion are free, so it can have so much value to those who receive it. Let's not deal in what ifs. Let's consider the light we shine. Let's consider that light. Don't let it be diminished by anything. So share it. It does create a ripple effect from person to person. I ask you, and I know my time is up, but I ask you this. Please be the light to those around you. Please be the light. Thank you.
Fantastic. That was amazing. Thank you, Sifu Raphael. Thank
Yes.
you, Dr. Nick and Manuj, and all of those who were here live and will catch the replay. If you do catch the replay, let us hear your comments. Make sure you comment and let us hear your thoughts. But thank you. That was great.
Absolutely. You know, I have to say one last thing. Jose, you are an inspiration to everybody who needs to understand that they're worth something. They have value and they can bring it to the world. And Dr. Nicholas, I got to tell you, my friend, you inspire me every time we talk. So let's keep the conversation going, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, everybody, have yourself an incredible Friday. And don't make it a weekend, make it a strong end, people. Take care.